Hang on. Welcome to Lego Lover 117 Enterprises. May I help you?
Yes.
How may I help you?
You can start by wiping that f***ing dumbass smile off your rosy f***ing cheeks. And you can give me a f***ing video, a f***ing vlog, a f***ing let's play, a f***ing HMR, anything.
I really don't care for your tone.
And I don't care for being left with no f***ing videos for over 2 f***ing weeks. Is that how you guys felt over these last few weeks with how inconsistent my upload schedule has been? I know I just announced all that fun stuff in the update video, but it turns out I got a freaking cold, man. Hello everyone, welcome back to another installment of Home Media Reviews. This review is on the Thanksgiving classic, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. And to say Thanksgiving classic is almost a given, because this and Charlie Brown Thanksgiving are really the only two Thanksgiving movies when you think about it. There's probably some other obscure movie that takes place during Thanksgiving, but this is the one that everybody watches year-round. If not actually on Thanksgiving, then pretty close to it. You watch Charlie Brown Thanksgiving on Thanksgiving, because if you don't, you're probably a con. Let's not waste any time, let's jump right into the history section of Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. So Planes, Trains, and Automobiles hit theaters on November 25th, 1987. I did not see this movie in theaters. I wasn't born yet. Never had the opportunity to see it. They didn't even put it back out in theaters during COVID, if I recall. You remember back during the days of the coronavirus when theaters were opening back up and they were replaying older movies to try to drum up more business to movie theaters? I saw Raiders of the Lost Ark, Goonies, Empire Strikes Back that way. But even during Thanksgiving, they never put out Planes, Trains, and Automobiles in theaters. At least none in my town. They may have near you, but for me, it was never to be seen. The way I saw Planes, Trains, and Automobiles was on TV. It was more than a decade ago. I probably couldn't have been more than 12 or 13. My parents were watching it on TV, and I think I came downstairs to get a snack or something, and it was the scene where the car is on fire and Neil is screaming, "You stole it!" And my parents and I were laughing, and I was like, hey, this movie's pretty funny. What's it called? My dad goes, it's Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. You never heard of it? I was like, no. So I sat down, I watched the rest of it, and I was like, this is hilarious. I love this movie. On August 17th, 1988, the Planes, Trains, and Automobiles VHS and Laserdisc hit store shelves. Funny enough, I don't see the VHS at a lot of places. Normally, you see VHS tapes of popular comedies like this and Christmas Vacation at places like Goodwill. I don't think I've ever seen a Planes, Trains, and Automobiles VHS in person. I definitely haven't seen the Laserdisc. Honestly, I didn't know there was a Laserdisc until I was doing research for this video. The DVD release came about 12 years later on November 21st, 2000. I'm sure that was a big deal. Planes, Trains, and Automobiles on DVD. Wow. You have to remember, though, that DVD was a huge step up in quality from the VHS tape, even though now we have Blu-ray and we think of that as poop. It was a huge step in quality for the time. On February 7th, 2006, we got a Steve Martin comedy collection DVD set. Pretty self-explanatory, all Steve Martin movies in this set. It included Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, Leap of Faith, and The Out-of-Towners. I have never heard of those other two movies. I don't know anything about those. On August 5th, 2008, there was a singular DVD reprint that was under the I Love the 80s brand line. Yeah, we all love the 80s. Woo, it was so great back then. October 20th, 2009 brings us the iconic Those Aren't Pillows edition of the DVD. And this one you can find Still today, actually, they reuse this poster art on a lot of Planes, Trains, and Automobiles reprints. I remember a few years ago on Black Friday, it was before I got the Blu-ray of this movie, it was back when I was still buying DVDs, I picked this DVD up for like $1.96, and it said, "Those aren't pillows" on the front cover. Yeah, $1.96. How about that? That DVD probably costs $5 now with inflation. Speaking of Blu-ray, on September 25th, 2011, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles hit Blu-ray for the very first time. Not everywhere, this was only a Best Buy exclusive. Why'd they make it a Best Buy exclusive? I don't know. Maybe they were testing the waters. Paramount was still unsure if this movie would sell on Blu-ray, maybe, because Blu-ray was an established format by this time. I don't know why they would still be cagey about putting out their movies on that format. I remember, though, from some of the reviews I've been watching of this 4K that just came out, this Blu-ray apparently isn't very good by some people's standards. Apparently some people are mad that they got rid of the grain, which this movie was shot on film. It's going to have film grain in it, and a lot of people love that look. I love the look of film grain. It makes me feel like I'm watching an actual movie. But when I was watching it for this review, I didn't really care all that much. I mean, the movie looks pretty good on Blu-ray, all things considered. Yeah, there are a few waxy skin tones, but it's nothing like... It's not Terminator 2 on 4K bad. On March 8th, 2012, this movie got another Blu-ray reprint. Well, its first Blu-ray reprint, actually, and it was included in the Paramount 100 Years of Movie Memories subline. Later on in 2012, on November 6th, the Blu-ray got another reprint without the Paramount 100 Years of Memories thing. This is just a standard Blu-ray reprint. And now you can find it everywhere. 2 years later, on May 13th, 2014, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles was included in a Blu-ray 3-pack with National Lampoon's Vacation and European Vacation. This doesn't make sense. Okay, vacation movies kind of have a weird track record. There's 4 of them, apparently. I've only seen Vacation and Christmas Vacation, but according to people online, Vacation and Christmas Vacation are 2 of the best ones. Why would you put European Vacation in this comedy set? It would make more sense to have Christmas Vacation here, since Christmas comes after Thanksgiving. Plus, it would be cool to have the 2 best vacation movies and the best Thanksgiving movie all in one set. We have another collection here that Planes, Trains, and Automobiles was included in. This is the 5-movie comedy collection. 80s comedies, I should say. This included Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, as I said before. Ferris Bueller's Day Off, Airplane, The Naked Gun, and Police Academy. Airplane is hilarious, okay? I don't care what any of you say. That movie is great. And Ferris Bueller's Day Off, does really anybody think of that as a comedy? I mean... yeah, I guess it technically is considered a comedy. I didn't really laugh a lot throughout it. I consider that to be like a feel-good movie, more or less than just like, haha, straight laugh-out-loud funny. I don't know, let me know down in the comments what you think. The very next year, on October 20th, 2015, this very same set got reprinted, and the poster is exactly the same. I'm going off of what Blu-ray.com tells me, so there it is. On October 10th, 2017, the DVD and the Blu-ray got reprinted. Again, put back out on store shelves. Paramount is joining Warner Brothers now in putting out their classics every single year with new versions for you to pick up. Have you guys seen the Snow Globe slipcovers that have been showing up at Target now? With Christmas Vacation, Elf, and Polar Express and all that? And Love Actually, apparently. That's a Christmas movie. I've never seen it, but I guess it's a Christmas... I don't know. On December 1st, 2019, the DVD got a reprint, but this time it included a collectible ornament. Ooh. Then on February 18th, 2020, the year that was stolen from us, the John Hughes 5-movie collection hit store shelves. This was only on DVD, though. The Blu-ray version wouldn't come until about a year later, but this included Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, Ferris Bueller's Day Off, She's Having a Baby, Pretty in Pink, and Some Kinda Wonderful. I've heard of She's having a baby. That's actually what Neil's wife is watching in this movie when she's waiting for him to call when he's at the airport. She's watching a future John Hughes movie. It's kind of a weird Inception moment there. And apparently there's a theory going around since Kevin Bacon is in Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. He's also in She's Having a Baby. People think he's the same character from both movies. But then the wife of Neil is watching She's Having a Baby. The theory doesn't really hold up, but it's cool to think about. Pretty in Pink I've heard of. I've never heard of Some Kind of Wonderful, though. On February 23rd, 2021, that's when the John Hughes 5 movie set got reprinted on Blu-ray. It's weird, though. You'd think those would be reversed. Like, they put the Blu-ray out first, and then like a year later, they'd be like, oh shoot, we forgot to put out a DVD. Let's do that. The Blu-ray then got reprinted on July 13th, 2021, and I'm pretty sure this is the version that I have, because I picked Planes, Trains, and Automobiles up on Black Friday last year, and it was super cheap. It was like, what, $6 or something for that? So I'm pretty sure this is the version I have. But then right before Black Friday hit, on November 23rd, 2021, this got a Steelbook release, and it's honestly pretty cool. I really like the Steelbook artwork here. I'm fine with my Blu-ray, though I don't really need the Steelbook, he says reluctantly. And then this very year, on November 22nd, 2022, you'll be able to pick up Planes, Trains, and Automobiles on 4K Ultra HD. That's right, we're actually talking about a release that's in the future. That is a first for home media reviews. Usually, every single time I do a review on a movie, there's another release or it gets a 4K and it immediately outdates my video. Ha! Thank you, Paramount. My video is no longer outdated. In fact, it's predated, so suck on that. I promise you guys it's not late. I'm recording this at like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I don't know why I'm so nuts. It's like every time I step behind this microphone, my personality goes out the window. Anyway, that wraps things up for the history section. Let's move right along to the close-up. Alrighty everyone, here's your close-up look at Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. We only have one copy here to look at. This is the copy I picked up on Black Friday last year. I think this was like $6.99 maybe. Extraordinarily cheap, especially for something that's been out on store shelves for so many years. But let's take a look at it here. We got Blu-ray logo up there at the top, Blu-ray plus digital, John Candy. There's his name, and actual John Candy. Planes, Trains, and Automobiles with Steve Martin over there as well. A John Hughes film. You got Dell's giant suitcase along with Neil's briefcase appropriately smashed open. I like this poster. It's simplistic, but I don't know. Something about it just says, this is modern. Like, I really like the theatrical poster that they used for the VHS tape. That one looks really good. This one's just kind of like, yeah, it's kind of Photoshoppy, but it's alright, I guess. The spine, Paramount logo, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. Blu-ray disc logo down there at the bottom. The back, got Packin' the Laughter. We have a blurb about the movie, some screenshots, that famous scene, those aren't pillows, barcode. You got Dell and Neil in the burned up car, special features, your digital movie, you got cast and crew and legalese along with your rating. Very prominently displayed there R. We'll talk about that later on in the video. And on the inside, there's what your code sheet looks like. I've already used mine, so don't bother trying to steal it. Then over here, a very plain looking disc. Just Planes, Trains, and Automobiles with the Blu-ray disc logo there. It's a classic Paramount gray. So that's your close-up. Let's move right along to the menu tour. Alrighty, folks. Here's your menu tour for Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. Lucky for us, they used the bottom of the theatrical poster art instead of this weird Photoshop poster that's on the actual Blu-ray, so that's good. The menu is pretty standard, though. You got play, settings, scenes, and extras. Let's take a look at extras first. We've got a little documentary called Getting There is Half the Fun. The story of planes, trains, and automobiles. John Hughes, Life Moves Pretty Fast. John Hughes for adults. Deleted scene, airplane food, which actually, if you watch the TV version of Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, this scene is put back into the movie. They cut most of the scene at the rental car place, but they edit this scene back into the movie for the TV cut. I don't know why it was ever removed in the first place. It's pretty funny. I don't think it would have messed with the pacing all that much, but hey, it's a deleted scene here. And then we've got a tribute to John Candy. So pretty good extras there. For scenes, we have 27 of them. Well, 26 if you don't count the credits. That's a pretty good amount for a 90-minute movie, and each of them have a little screenshot there. And for settings, for audio, we have a 5.1 DTS HD mix, a Spanish mono mix, and a Portuguese mono mix. And for subtitles, we have English, English SDH, French, Spanish, and Portuguese. So that's your menu tour. Let's go ahead and head on back and answer the 5 main questions, as always. All right, sir, back from the close-up. Now it's time to answer the 5 main questions, as always. Number 1, where can you pick this product up? You can find it on store shelves right now. Well, technically right now. I mean, the Blu-ray's on store shelves right now, but the 4K's not yet because it's not out yet. It'll be out, though, when this video releases, so you can find it on store shelves right now. Go to your local Best Buy. Go to your local Target. Don't go to your local Walmart because they're probably not going to have it. Go to either of those places. It'll probably be there. Number 2, is this product still being printed nowadays? Yes! I can answer yes to this question. It's so weird not having to say no. Number 3, should you pick this product up? Not only is Planes, Trains, and Automobiles the quintessential Thanksgiving movie, it's also really funny. This movie is a comedy, but it's a feel-good comedy. It makes you feel nice while you watch it. Maybe not at the beginning, though, because Neil is kind of mean to John Candy's character of Del Griffith, who is instantly lovable, by the way. I love John Candy in virtually anything the man did. It's so sad that he was taken from us so soon. But wow, the way that John Candy plays this character, he is so lovable from the instant he's found on screen. I got a motto: like your work, love your wife. While you were calling home, I called the Birchwood Inn. They can get us a room. We've been robbed. I know that he is a side character in this movie, but I can't help it. I love him so much in this. He's my favorite character in Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. You're supposed to root for Steve Martin, though. He's the main character as Neil Page. But man, I love Del Griffith so much. So many funny lines that come out of that guy. And same thing for Steve Martin. His reaction to John Candy's insaneness is what sells this movie and what makes it funny. Steve Martin's just a very funny actor with just how he goes about playing his various roles. But wow, he really dials it up to 11 here, and it's amazing. I mean, we've already talked about it, but one of the most famous scenes in the movie is when they're in the hotel and they're trying to go to sleep, and they wake up the next morning and they're both cuddling each other. Steve Martin just is like, Del? Mm-hmm. Why'd you kiss my ear? I don't know. Where's your other hand? In between 2 pillows? Those aren't pillows. Yeah! Ooh. Yeah, so to see the Bears game the other night? Yeah, hell of a game. Those kind of crazy situations just always make me laugh. And like I said, this movie's full of heart, too. You want Steve Martin to go home to his family. You know, that's all he wants, and you're rooting for him for that. And you feel for him when he gets stuck in Kansas, and he's with this crazy dude who is apparently a shower curtain ring salesman, who knows all these people. You're traveling cross-country with this guy. He's so annoying, but he's also so nice at the same time. I mean, you can relate to Steve Martin throughout the movie. This movie has great pacing. It's only 90 minutes, and it doesn't feel short, though. It feels like you've gone through a 2-hour journey, but it's actually just been 90 minutes. It's amazing how well John Hughes can write a comedy like this. This movie also could never be made in modern day because of cell phones. I just really love 80s movies that can never be made in modern day because of cell phones. Because think about it, if Steve Martin had a cell phone, he'd just call his wife and say, "Hey, can you send an Uber or something to come get me?" That's what makes this movie special. It's a time period that it takes place in, because this kind of situation, while it's kind of plausible it could happen in modern day, it wouldn't be as crazy as this. I also really appreciate how John Hughes is able to flip the whole Odd Couple vibe on its head. If you notice when you watch this movie, the big blow up that happens between the two frenemies, it doesn't happen in the third act. It happens at the end of the first act. That's crazy to me. And you know what? The way that John Hughes writes it, it totally works. Neil blows up Adele in the motel room, and Dell gives his big speech about how he likes himself and he's confident in himself and his wife likes him, and then all of a sudden the status quo was reset. It's so crazy how that can work so well, and it totally sets the stage for a lot more funnier comedy scenes later on. If you had been waiting for the big blow up to happen in the third act, I don't think this movie would have been as funny as it is. To get that out of the way at the end of the first act, that leaves for more comedy later on. And it's totally genius how John Hughes wrote it that way. Also, the cinematography in this movie is great. I love the landscapes throughout Wichita and St. Louis and New York. It looks amazing. You know something that I never noticed up until this point watching it for this HMR? I love the music. The music is so 80s, late 1980s too. I eat this score up now. I absolutely just adore everything about the score, because it sets this tone perfectly well. It's bouncy, it's jovial, it's kind of hip-hop-ish. It just screams the 1980s to me, and I love everything about it. If I had to think of anything I didn't like about Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, I can't really think of anything. It's really hard to critique a movie as good as this one with how good its comedy is, because at that point you're just nitpicking. Maybe there's a continuity flub here or there. Maybe there's, a guy who's in camera or something. Maybe there's little errors like that, but overall, the movie is so fun, you don't notice any of that stuff. Also, there's a ton of cameos throughout Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. We already talked about Kevin Bacon, but there's another one that if any of you guys are Better Call Saul fans, I'm sure you'll notice next time you watch it. The cop that pulls them over when they're driving their burned up car, that's Charles McGill. That's Michael McKean. He's one of the only ones that actually gets a casting credit at the end of the movie, just on a card by himself during the end credits. That's freaking Charles McGill pulling them over. And again, I got to talk about John Candy. And that scene, that monologue he gives, amazing. I can't even quote it here for you all because it's so good. I'm going to stutter throughout the whole thing. Officer, we actually don't know how fast that we were going because you see our speedometer's a bit melted here. Your speedometer is melted. Oh yes, we had a small fire last night, but we caught it in the nick of time. So you have no working gauges. No, officer. But, the funny thing is the radio works great. And man, does it hit me in the feels every time when Neil goes back to the train station and sees Dell still sitting there, and Dell talks about how his wife is actually dead, which if you notice, there are a lot of hints of that throughout the movie. It really isn't so much of a surprise when you notice all the hints that John Hughes have been putting throughout the script. But it's so sweet when they're carrying that giant chest up to Neil's house, and Neil introduces Dell to everyone, and it's almost like he's part of the family now. And I like to think that every year Dell Griffith comes over to Neil Page's house, and they spend the holidays together. Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, they spend it all together. I like to think that for the last, 30 years, however long it's been since this movie came out, that he's been doing that. Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. It is a movie for virtually anyone. If you like comedy, you'll love it. If you like feel-good movies, you'll love it. You like movies about New York, you'll love it too. And for the most part, it's pretty kid-friendly. Well, right up until you get into the cab where there's naked women on the ceiling, but I'm not even talking about that per se. You guys know why this movie's rated R, right? Even with that cab, with all those scantily clad women on it, that would still pass for a PG in the late 1980s. But wow, the scene where Neil goes to the rental car agency, you heard me reference it at the beginning of this video. That's the one reason this movie is rated R. In the span of a minute, Steve Martin drops 18 F-bombs and earns this movie an R rating. That is legend status. So if your kid hasn't really been exposed to language yet, maybe don't show him this. Or maybe show him this and then tell him not to say that word, because it's not a good word. Did anyone seriously think I was going to red arrow Planes, Trains, and Automobiles? Come on. This movie is fantastic. You need to go see it. It's Thanksgiving this week. Go watch Planes, Trains, and Automobiles if you haven't already, because it's amazing and you won't regret it. Matter of fact, I think it's on Paramount Plus right now. So you know what? Sign up for a free trial of Paramount Plus. If you don't have this on Blu-ray, or God forbid DVD, watch it there. You're gonna love it. Number 4, where should you pick this product up? Pretty much anywhere you can find it. You can probably find it at a Best Buy. You can find it at Target. Again, I don't know about Walmart, because Walmart kind of sucks with physical media now. It's a shame. They used to be a bastion of it, but now at least my Walmart has been dwindled down to one little teeny aisle and an end cap. But Best Buy, still going strong with the physical media train. They don't have as big of a section as they used to, but their Black Friday sales have been pretty good so far. I've got a couple titles from there. And number 5, what price should you pay? Well, the Blu-ray copies, now that the 4K is out there, the Blu-rays are pretty much, I wouldn't say they're worthless. There's plenty of them out there. You don't need to buy the newest version of this movie to experience it. From the reviews that I've watched, the 4K is not really all that great. So if you want a pure experience of Planes, Trains, and Automobiles with film grain and all, get the VHS, because the Blu-ray apparently doesn't have any. I'd say though the VHS probably worth about 5 to 10. Same thing with the most recent Blu-ray that came out in 2021. It'll probably be on your store shelves for Black Friday. Go and check your Best Buys. They'll probably have some there. A DVD, $1.96. That's how much that thing's worth. They've reprinted that thing so many times. So that, ladies and gentlemen, is it. That is my home media review on Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. Just a great feel-good movie from the 80s that you will absolutely adore if you haven't seen it already. And if you have seen it, tell me what you think about it. And tell me what you thought of my review down below in the comments. I want to hear from you guys. So if you watched the update that aired a few weeks ago, you know that next week will not be another regular home media review. I know, sad face. Don't worry though, it's a supplemental that I'm sure you all have been excited for. We're talking about Christmas Vacation on 4K next week. And something else. Not saying what it is. You'll have to watch to find out. However, regular home media reviews will be back in just another couple of weeks with Dr. Seuss's How the Grinch Stole Christmas. Not the live-action one with Jim Carrey, not the 2018 one with Benedict Cumberbatch. No, the original 60s television cartoon that is the definitive version of Dr. Seuss's Grinch. I hope to see you all then. Thank you all so very much for watching. Have a happy Thanksgiving, everyone. Good night, everybody.